Klaatu, Barada, Nikto.
When it comes to classic 1950s sci-fi films, The Day the Earth Stood Still always holds a special place in fans' hearts. The film tells the story of Klaatu, an extraterrestrial being who arrives on Earth with a mission to warn humanity of the danger of self-destruction if they continue to engage in conflict and develop weapons of mass destruction. Accompanying him is Gort, an indestructible giant robot who serves both as protector and punisher, making every scene he appears in tense and heart-stopping. Beyond its haunting story, the film also hides countless fascinating behind-the-scenes secrets. Did you know that Bernard Herrmann's score, which used two theremins and multi-layered recording techniques, inspired the iconic alien sound that all subsequent sci-fi films would emulate? Or that a franchise script had already been drafted in 1981 but was completely scrapped? Or that the U.S. military absolutely hated this film? Let's dive into 20 secrets about The Day the Earth Stood Still in the video below. 20. The spell Klaatu Barada Nikto holds enormous power. Klaatu Barada. Nikto, three words that echo throughout the day. The Earth stood still are not merely a command but a mysterious, haunting spell to save Earth. Created by screenwriter Edmund H. North, the phrase has no official translation, leaving 1950s audiences shivering and wondering if a hidden message lies within. In the film, Klaatu entrusts Helen Benson with the task of speaking it to Gort if he has harmed a single act that can halt the robot's wrath and save both humans and aliens. The words echo like a curse from the future cold, commanding yet deeply humane, keeping audiences on edge with every beat. 19. The U.S. Department of Defense refused to cooperate. When The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951 was about to enter production, a major challenge arose. The U.S. Department of Defense refused to cooperate. The film's script, with its clear anti-war message, depicted humans as aggressive creatures whose tribalism threatened cosmic peace, and the Pentagon didn't want the military associated with a politically controversial film. In the context of the Cold War, when patriotism and militarism were at their peak, this decision was not just a backstage obstacle, but also a testament to the courage of the producers and director who remained steadfast in delivering their progressive message. Undeterred, the filmmakers turned to the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment at Fort Meade, Maryland, an independent military unit to provide vehicles and soldiers for the scenes. This solution not only enabled realistic depictions of battles and confrontations between humans and the flying saucer, but also underscored a subtle defiance of the government, adding a deeper layer of meaning to the film. The combination of anti-war storytelling and carefully executed military scenes made The Day the Earth Stood Still, both thrilling and socially reflective, resonating strongly for decades. The spell's influence extends far beyond the screen, becoming a cultural symbol appearing in countless sci-fi works and literature. From Star Wars Return of the Jedi to Army of Darkness, and even in novels like The Armageddon Reg Klaatu Barada, Nikto emerges as a mystical keyword, reminding humanity of responsibility and control. Do you remember this chilling line of warning from a future yet to come? Share your thoughts below. 18. John Carpenter is a reference to Jesus. Klaatu is more than an alien. He is a symbol, a living message of humanity's salvation. Upon leaving his spaceship, Klaatu is shot by the military, taken to Walter Reed Hospital, and mysteriously escapes, adopting the alias John Carpenter. A subtle nod to Jesus, the great carpenter Klaatu walks among humans with a mission to warn and redeem, keeping audiences on edge with every step. Klaatu's being shot and then resurrected serves as a vivid metaphor for sacrifice and timeless messages of peace. He delivers the warning: if humanity does not abandon war, they will self-destruct. The name Carpenter. His resurrection and scenes of him quietly observing humanity create a gripping narrative that is both thrilling and philosophical, elevating the film from classic sci-fi to a profound humanist statement. 17. The Professor's Blackboard was written by Dr. Samuel Herrick. In an era when sci-fi was often associated with rubber suit monsters and pseudoscience jargon, the film stood out for its rare authenticity. When Clayton disguised as Mr. Carpenter visits Professor Barnhart, he adjusts a series of complex equations on the blackboard. These formulas weren't random symbols. They were real equations describing the three-body problem in Newtonian gravity, a famous issue in celestial mechanics. To ensure accuracy, the filmmakers collaborated with Dr. Samuel Herrick, an astronomy professor at UCLA who developed these equations. This dedication shows that the film was not just fiction, but a serious scientific study grounding its extraordinary events in a recognizable reality. The three-body problem, which has no general solution in classical physics, involves predicting the trajectories of three celestial bodies interacting with each other, a core concept for anyone experimenting with interstellar navigation. Including these formulas enhanced the film's realism and reflected the filmmaker's commitment to accurately portraying scientific principles in a fictional work. 16. The film's franchise script existed in 1981 but failed. In 1981, 20th Century Fox invited acclaimed sci-fi writer Ray Bradbury to write a sequel script the day the Earth stood still to the evening of the second day. The film was set to open on Christmas Eve 30 years after the original, when a spaceship lands at Cape Canaveral. NASA engineer Chris Atkins witnesses the event, realizing he saw a similar event as a child. However, this time it's not Klaatu who arrives, but his daughter Klaata. She comes to Earth to assess humanity's progress over 3 decades. During her stay, Klaata develops a romantic relationship with Chris. She reveals her mission involves orchestrating a series of global disappearances, leading to the depletion of oil reserves within 20 years. Klaata gives Chris a box supposedly containing Gort's heart, promising that if humanity fulfills its mission in time, the box will open and lead him to her. Failure, however, would lock it forever with dire consequences for humanity. Bradbury's 1981 project never reached the big screen, mainly because its content didn't align with 20th Century Fox's direction at the time. Would it have been compelling if produced? That's a question for viewers to debate in the comments below. 15. Spaceship Design by Thomas Little and Claude Carpenter. The design of Klaatu and Gort's spaceship broke new ground, reflecting the space age and nuclear era spirit. The spacecraft was designed by Thomas Little and Claude Carpenter in collaboration with famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Notably, its interior was inspired by Wright's Johnson Wax Headquarters, 1936, featuring mushroom-shaped columns and open spaces creating an environment both modern and mysterious. Additionally, the spaceship was designed to glow in the dark, a unique feature that cemented its status as a pop culture icon. This not only enhanced its mystique, but also showcased the technological optimism of the era. With its distinctive and impressive design, the spaceship in The Day the Earth Stood Still became one of the defining images of classic sci-fi. 14. Set in Washington, D.C., but not filmed there. Although The Day the Earth Stood Still, 1951, is set in Washington, D.C., most of the film was actually shot in Hollywood, California. Exterior shots of D.C. were minimal and mostly handled by a secondary unit. Director Robert Wise used mock-up exteriors, stunt doubles, and studio set designs to recreate iconic landmarks such as the National Mall, Lincoln Memorial, and Arlington Memorial Bridge. This approach saved both time and money, while ensuring high visual quality throughout production. A notable aspect of filming was the use of models and mock designs to simulate exteriors. For example, the spaceship landing at the ellipse was recreated in the studio using miniature models and special filming techniques. 13. News reports claimed Klaatu's home was Venus or Mars. There was once a casual news report claiming that the most likely candidates for Klaatu's home planet were Venus and Mars, as these planets were thought to have the highest potential to support life. In 1951, this hypothesis made perfect sense. Venus was believed to share many Earth-like characteristics, while Mars had long been a target for astronomers and imaginative speculation thought possibly capable of supporting alien life. In this context, the idea that an intelligent being like Klaatu came from one of these planets was not far-fetched. In fact, it sparked a scientific yet thrilling excitement in audiences' imaginations. But reality proved harsher than any fiction. Today, we know Venus has been ravaged by a runaway greenhouse effect hot enough to preclude any complex life, let alone an advanced civilization capable of interplanetary travel. Mars, though still one of the most studied planets, has never shown definitive signs of life, and if anything exists, it's likely only microscopic organisms. Since then, scientists have turned their attention to more distant celestial bodies, focusing on icy moons orbiting Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, places where life, though unlike Earth's, is far more realistically possible. These discoveries have turned the hypothesis of Klaatu's origins from pure imagination into a scientific quest drawing audiences into a vast, dangerous, and alluring universe. 12. Locke. Martin endured extreme challenges in the Gort suit. Gort, the silent and indestructible robot in The Day the Earth Stood Still, is one of the most iconic and frightening symbols in sci-fi cinema. The character was portrayed by Locke Martin, a nearly 7'7" performer from Grauman's Chinese theater in Hollywood. Though not a professional actor, his towering height and commanding presence immediately convinced producers he was perfect to accompany Klaatu, a powerful yet mysterious being, eliciting awe and fear from audiences. However, the Gort suit was a real challenge. Made of foam rubber and coated in metallic paint, it was heavy and cumbersome, restricting all movement. Martin could only wear it for about half an hour at a time. Long takes required clever coordination between puppetry hidden wires and precise camera angles to create the illusion of Gort's immense strength. In scenes where Gort lifts characters like Patricia Neal or Michael Rennie Martin couldn't physically manage it, so doll props or carts were used. One memorable moment was a long take on the spaceship ramp during which Martin's muscles twitched. From the strain, you can actually see his arms twitch involuntarily in the final cut. These small details, unnoticed by many at first, contributed to Gort's chilling realism. Despite the extreme physical challenges, Locke Martin gave Gort a commanding and terrifying presence. Do you love this portrayal? Share your thoughts below. 11. A scene was completely cut. The film once had a controversial subplot behind the scenes. In the revised final draft, dated February 21, 1951, a scene titled Police Precinct Station, night appeared, where Klaatu, after being shot, was taken directly to the police station instead of following the familiar route to Professor Barnhart. In the cramped cell, military officers and police debated the fate of the alien visitor as if he were merely a criminal. Had this scene remained, the film's carefully built tension and philosophical message could have been stifled halfway through. Interestingly, no one is certain whether the scene was only scripted or actually filmed before being cut. Director Robert Wise never confirmed, and 20th Century Fox left the matter ambiguous. Some film scholars argue that removing the police station scene was a brilliant decision, preventing the story from devolving into bureaucratic dullness, and preserving Professor Barnhart's intellectual stature, contrasting sharply with rigid authority. The cut was the golden scissors that kept the film's suspense taut. 10. The film was adapted from a story. A fascinating fact is that the film was adapted from Harry Bates's 1940 sci-fi short story, Farewell to the Master. Bates's original tale focused on a great robot and the veneration it inspired, but North's script restructured the plot, shifting the focus from robot worship to a powerful message of peace reflecting Cold War-era fears of nuclear conflict. To secure adaptation rights, Fox paid $1,000, a small investment that yielded enormous artistic and commercial success. The film's title went through multiple considerations, from Farewell to The Master to Journey to the World, then The Day the World Stood Still, before finally becoming The Day the Earth Stood Still, a title imbued with weight, urgency, and a direct reference to a moment when the whole world must stop in the face of the unexpected. 9. Michael Rennie sat on a cart. During Gort's carrying scenes, one of the most impressive shots is when Gort carries Klaatu into the spaceship. Few know there's a backstage secret here. Due to Lock Martin's cumbersome rubber suit, he couldn't perform the lift for long, requiring hidden wires, lightweight props, and clever camera angles to create the illusion of strength. Another detail in scenes where Gort lifts Patricia Neal, she actually sat on a cart outside the frame, pushed by the crew, as Martin physically couldn't lift her even briefly. The physical strain on Martin was immense. In one long ramp shot, his muscles began to twitch, and the final cut even shows his arm involuntarily jerking tiny but chilling details that added realism and fear to Gort's presence. 8. How they made the spaceship seamless on screen. One of the film's most striking and mysterious visuals is Klaatu's seamless flying saucer. When the ramp extends, it appears magically from the smooth hull with no doors, seams, or handles. How did they create this futuristic effect in the pre-digital era? The solution was pure classic Hollywood ingenuity. Special effects artist Fred Serson knew any visible crack would ruin the illusion. For the full-size prop, the crew filled the ramp seams with ordinary putty, sanded it smooth, and painted it silver to match the ship. When the mechanism extended, the putty cracked cleanly, creating a perfect, seemingly magical seam, an elegant, cost-effective solution that perfectly captured advanced alien technology. Fred Serson, an American special effects artist working at 20th Century Fox from the 1930s to 1950s, handled effects for over 200 films, including The Rains Came, 1939, and Crash Dive, 1943, both Oscar-winning for Best Special Effects. His creativity and skill were crucial to the film's success. 7. The bold decision to cast real journalists. Director Robert Wise made a daring choice. He turned The Day the Earth Stood Still into a near-documentary film where extraordinary events felt as vivid and convincing as possible. A key part of this strategy was casting real journalists on screen. Instead of hiring actors to play reporters, Wise brought in the most trusted and familiar voices in American journalism at the time, H.V. Calton-born Gabriel Heater and Elmer Davis, who had already made their mark in radio and daily newsreels. Audiences in 1951 instantly recognized their faces and voices. When these familiar voices reported the landing of the flying saucer, with the same seriousness and gravity they used for real-world events, the effect was mesmerizing. The boundary between fiction and reality blurred, making the unbelievable feel credible and eerily close, drawing viewers into a world where science fiction and reality merged seamlessly. 6. How Bernard Herrmann created the Alien score. The Day the Earth Stood Still impressed not only with its profound story, but also with Bernard Herrmann's unique score. To create the alien sound, Herrmann used not one but two theremins, each tuned to different frequencies to produce a disorienting stereo effect. He combined them with an unconventional orchestra of electric violins, cellos, bass, multiple organs, and massive percussion, experimenting with pioneering techniques like overdubbing and reverse tape playback to create an entirely new sonic landscape. The score wasn't the only point of controversy. Klaatu's resurrection scene raised concerns from the MPAA about possible religious associations. To address this, dialogue was added in which Klaatu explains that Gort's resurrection power is temporary and reserved for the omnipotent soul. This eased concerns while keeping the film in line with the era's censorship standards. 5. A monumental cultural impact. Upon release, the film became not only a brilliant sci-fi work, but also a cultural symbol reflecting the anxieties and hopes of the Cold War era. Released during a time of global tension and nuclear threat, the film used science fiction as an allegory to ask profound questions about ethics, peace, and humanity's survival. Its anti-war message and call for international cooperation paved the way for works like 2001, A Space Odyssey, and Contact, and influenced franchises such as Star Trek promoting peace and exploration. The phrase Klaatu Barada, Nikto, entered pop culture referenced in works like George Lucas's Return of the Jedi. Although the film initially earned a modest $185 million at the U.S. box office, it gradually gained recognition as a masterpiece, preserved by the U.S. National Film Registry since 1995 and consistently ranked among the greatest sci-fi films. Beyond its cultural influence, The Day the Earth Stood Still also impacted the film industry, proving that science fiction could be a mainstream genre, not just children's or B-movie fare. With Robert Wise's direction and Bernard Herrmann's revolutionary score, the film elevated the genre, blending profound content with cinematic excellence, capturing critics' and audiences' attention despite its modest initial reception. 4. Michael Rennie as Klaatu, a strategic choice. Casting Michael Rennie as Klaatu was a strategic decision by producer Julian Blaustein and director Robert Wise. They turned down well-known stars like Spencer Tracy and Claude Rains, not due to lack of talent, but because familiar faces could bring preconceived associations, making it hard for audiences to believe they were seeing a visitor from another world. Instead, they chose Michael Rennie, a relatively unknown British actor in America at the time. Standing 6'4" and exuding solemnity, Rennie portrayed an alien as refined and dignified, not just a Hollywood star in costume. Born in Idle-West Riding of Yorkshire, England, Rennie began his acting career after working in car sales and factory management. Before Klaatu, he had several roles in the UK and was known on US television, but Klaatu was his only leading role in Hollywood, becoming one of sci-fi cinema's most memorable performances. Are you impressed with Rennie's portrayal? Share your thoughts below. 3. Professor Barnhart almost didn't appear. In the tense political climate of the 1950s, the film was not just entertainment, but a strong statement on peace and anti-militarism. Using the alien as an allegory, it posed profound questions about humanity and the future. Casting Sam Jaffe as Professor Barnhart added weight to this message. Despite being blacklisted in Hollywood for suspected communist sympathies, Jaffe was entrusted by director Robert Wise with this pivotal role. This decision showcased the filmmaker's courage and stood as a statement for free speech and resistance against political suppression in the film industry. 2. Casting faced many challenges. Casting the role of Klaatu in The Day the Earth Stood Still involved careful consideration by producer Julian Blaustein and director Robert Wise. Initially, Spencer Tracy was considered for the lead, but his fame could have made it difficult for audiences to separate his established image from that of the character. Next, Claude Rains, a veteran star known for The Invisible Man, was suggested. However, he had to decline due to prior commitments to a Broadway play. Ultimately, Patricia Neal, the leading actress playing Helen Benson, delivered a memorable performance. She portrayed a World War II widow living with her son, Bobby, and was the first human to encounter Klaatu. With her classic beauty and deep acting ability, Neal captivated audiences, and later won the Oscar for Best Actress for her role in HUD 1963. She went on to leave her mark in films such as Breakfast at Tiffany's, 1961. Sam Jaffe, playing Professor Jacob Barnhart, portrayed an intellectual companion to Klaatu, helping convey his message of peace. Jaffe was an accomplished actor nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for The Asphalt Jungle, 1950, and also appeared in acclaimed films like Ben-Hur, 1959, and Gunga Din, 1939. Are you impressed with the film's cast? Share your thoughts below. 1. The 2008 remake was less well received. The 2008 remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still, starring Keanu Reeves as Klaatu, offered a more modern perspective on the 1951 classic, but failed to receive enthusiastic acclaim from critics or audiences. The film retained the basic storyline: an alien arrives on Earth to warn humanity. However, instead of focusing on the nuclear threat, this version shifted its focus to environmental issues and climate change. Reeves's Klaatu appears as a messenger with a clear warning: if humanity does not change its ways and protect the planet Earth will face destruction. Despite grossing over $233 million worldwide, the film did not make the impact expected. Critics noted that it lacked depth and failed to convey the significance of the original work. On Rotten Tomatoes, it earned only 21% positive reviews, while Metacritic recorded a score of 40 out of 100, reflecting mixed or average reviews. Audiences were similarly unimpressed with a cinema score of only C, indicating that many were disappointed that the original's message and dramatic tension were not fully conveyed. One highlight of the 2008 version was its modern visual effects and action sequences, which brought Klaatu and Gort to life more vividly on the big screen. However, despite the impressive effects, many scenes were criticized for lacking emotional depth and true suspense. Critics and viewers alike observed that the film nearly lost the mystery and humanity that gave the original its timeless appeal. The Day the Earth Stood Still is not just a classic science fiction film, but also a treasure trove of fascinating behind-the-scenes stories. From the bold decision to cast Michael Rennie, a nearly unknown actor, as Klaatu, to the secrets of Lock Martin's physical struggles as Gort and the enduring cultural resonance of the phrase Klaatu Barada, Nikto, every detail contributed to the film's lasting vitality. Were you surprised by any of these facts? Or did any detail make you want to watch the film again with fresh eyes? Thank you for joining us on this journey, exploring the untold secrets of The Day the Earth Stood Still. If you found this video interesting and want to continue discovering more classic films, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications.